On this episode of Locked On Angels, it's Fanmail Friday, and you wondered, has Taylor Ward adjusted after being hit in the face? We have some stats on that. Hit in the face. Ouch. And should Anthony Santander be somebody that the Angels try to get in the offseason? Let's talk about that. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with John and I and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use our promo code LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5.
Happy Friday to you, and thanks for being here for this Fanmail Friday edition of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
It's our third season here at Locked On Angels. The third season is coming to a close here, Mike. Of course, we still have the off season. We're here all through the winter time. And in fact, we're here 5 days a week talking Angels baseball Monday through Friday. So don't miss an episode if you're an everydayer. Help us out. Get us to 8,000 subscribers by subscribing on YouTube. And even if you're a listener of the podcast, it doesn't hurt. Come on over and subscribe on YouTube. We'd love to make that 8,000 mark. That'd be so much fun. On today's show, it's a Fan Mail Friday. Got a lot of great questions from our everydayers and a few rants, Mike. I encourage people to share their rants. But we do have some really great questions and comments from our everydayers here at the top. Why don't you get us started with a comment from Joseph Manser on YouTube?
Yeah, he said this: I feel the same way as you guys do about the Angels front office attitude towards the Angel fans and information. I believe that Artie runs this team like a private corporation and treats the fans as customers like Walmart or Target.
I thought that was so good.
That was really good. They don't seem to realize that they own a sports entertainment business, that the fans are not consumers, they're fans. So we want to know what the future direction is of the team, what the physical status is of players that we care about, and why we should be investing in the minor leagues and in scouting and in player development as much as other baseball teams. Unfortunately, they're old businessmen that will not change their practices. Johnny, hit me. What are your thoughts?
Oh, man, I love the way that Joseph put that in terms of this. They treat us like customers, like a Walmart or a Target, rather than as fans of a baseball team, because he's right. It's a turnstile business, Mike, where people come in, they consume, and then they leave. But being a fan is so much different. You're invested. You're not necessarily a business partner of the team, but you're invested in what they do, how they do it. Are they going to be good? What are they doing to set up for the future? What are they doing to have success down the road? Those are all the things that we care about as fans, and that's not how the business side is run. If you remember going back to our conversation from yesterday, this all stemmed out of the fact that we were annoyed with the fact that the front office handles injury talk, handles personnel decisions in such a peculiar way, in that they're trying to keep us happy. They're trying to keep us, like you said, don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. That's how it feels sometimes. And that's why there's such a lack of transparency. There's such a lack of honesty when it comes to injuries. They're trying to keep us happy and say, oh, all your favorite players are here. All your favorite guys are going to be on the field, even though we know that's not true. And unless you're a real dedicated, like, Twitter person or social media person, you're not going to see those Angels PR tweets. You're not going to see some of that stuff. And maybe sometimes I think I'm guilty of that fact, of the fact that there are not everybody is on social media or follows as closely as like you and I do. Right. And we do that obviously because we're really big fans. Right. We were doing that before we did any podcasts, but at the same time, we follow because we are podcast hosts. So I think what I'm trying to say is the way that they treat fans, the way that they treat customers is like a storefront, is like somewhere where you go and you buy a product and then you go home and the product is what it is. And that's just not how it is to be a fan, right?
Right. Absolutely. And I've mentioned it on this show multiple times, but is it wrong to want my team to just be honest with me? Like, I'm not going to stop going to games. I'm not going to stop watching. I'm not going to stop spending money on tickets.
We would be more inclined to go to games if they were honest with us.
Especially if they started the season off with like, hey, it's a rebuilding year and we're going to work through what it means to rebuild. And we're going to have these players and we're going to have a great minor league system. And we're going to do the best job we can to get a competitive team by this time. We're going to shoot for 2025, but it's more likely going to be 2026. Like, all of that stuff is so beneficial. And here's why it's beneficial for the Angels, because there's always going to be a conglomerate of fans that are just going to show up because it's convenient, it's fan friendly, and it's a whole lot of fun when you go to the game. They're going to say Deo, and they're going to sing songs. You get to pick the 7th inning stretch song, and you get to sing along with the national anthem, right? We have friends that are singing the national anthem. Like, I love all of that. There's always going to be a conglomerate of fans that do that. Then there's going to be a deeper connection with fans that love this team, like you and I and our everydayers. And when they say, hey, we're going to do this, okay, cool. I want to see it. I want to see it play out. Like, let us in. I don't see the negativity in that at all. And if Ben Joyce is hurt, let me know he's hurt. It changed the fact that fans of this team will not show up or will show up. Like, I'm going to show up because you've told me, here's the game plan. Here's what we're doing. And I'm not just showing up because Ben Joyce might possibly pitch in the 9th inning. And we've proven as fans that we're going to show up even if our stars are hurt. Ohtani's been hurt when he was on this team. Rendon's been hurt. Trout's been hurt. We've proven that we will show up when these guys are playing or when they're not playing. We just need you to be honest with us. We need you to give us the game plan. We need you to show us what it looks like. Give us the roadmap. Cast a vision for us and let us buy into the vision instead of doing a bait and switch. That's what's just really frustrating as an Angel fan.
You know what the difference here is that the Angels always put the best deal forward. So it's like we got to get rid of all the old models of Toyota and it's a huge sale. And that's what the Angels feel like.
Yeah.
But if I had to compare to another kind of consumer product, Mike, you know that like most people use Apple products, but there is a contingent of people that like really like their Apple products and are invested in what they're going to do next. And I was watching the Apple announcement on Monday and I was texting with friends and one friend said, all right, take a shot every time they say carbon neutral by 2030. and they said it like 10 times, right?
Yeah.
And I was super drunk. No, I'm just kidding. But what that tells me is there is a contingent of people out there who buy Apple products, but also care about the fact that, hey, they are going to be carbon neutral by 2030. That's the difference to me.
Yeah.
Is you've got, fire sale, best deals, best product, versus, hey, here's our plan for 5 to 10 years down the road. And that's the difference between being a fan and being a consumer. And the Angels see fans as consumers.
Put down in the comments if you're watching this, or even if you're listening to this, come over to the comments and let us know. Like, would you care about this team if they gave a vision and shared where they're going? Would that help you? Because I think it would help me, John. I think it would help a lot of everydayers, and I think it would be beneficial to those that are deep rooted fans of this team. Okay, here's where we're going. Great. I loved it. I think we can see it, right? We can see it. However, it'd be great if they said, hey, we're going to cast a vision. We're going to lay out the groundwork and trust us as fans that we're going to respond in kind and we're going to be supportive, because we've been supportive when you haven't said anything or you haven't been honest with us. Right. And so give us a vision, cast a vision and let us in on where you're leading this team, where we're going as an organization.
Good on Joseph for bringing up this, this comment. That was great. Glenn Thomas on YouTube wants to know, how do you think Taylor Ward has responded this year since getting hit in the face last year? Well, he's obviously been affected by being hit in the face last season. We've seen how he's turned away from a lot of up and in pitches, even the ones that aren't necessarily close, Mike. And so we've seen the way that he's handled that. I did a little bit of a deep dive. Okay. So, on my Fanmail Fridays, when I get to answer your guys' questions, it's my favorite thing to do, but it gives me a little chance to do a little research. So here's what I found. I have the charts on the video side, but if you're listening, I'll do my best to describe it to you. So according to StatCast, Taylor Ward has been thrown 231 pitches up and in this season.
No way. Really?
Yeah, 231.
Grief. That poor guy.
Yeah, which is about 10% of all the pitches he's seen.
Wow.
This season is up and in. The most is down and away, 504 pitches, 22% of all the pitches he's seen. So that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
You're trying to get a guy
totally.
to chase.
Yep.
Totally. But 231 pitches, compare that to Logan O'Hoppe, who's only had 174 pitches up and in thrown at him. So clearly people have done their homework on Taylor Ward and they're taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Taylor has only swung at pitches up and in 37 times, or 16% of the 231 pitches he's seen. So that's a lot of non-swings. That means he's sitting on it. He's bailing out. Take that for what you will, right? That's also the lowest amount of times he's made a decision to swing up and in. So all over his strike zone, up and in pitches are the most, and he swung at them the least, basically. So the key here is I want to compare him to Logan again, because I was like, let me take like another player just to get an idea of like where we're at here. Like I said, Logan's only had 174 thrown at him up and in. The most is also down and away, so that's very similar. But Logan has swung at up and in pitches 76 times, or 44% of all the up and in pitches he's seen. So here's the key, Mike. Ward's expected batting average on pitches inside, I think, has benefited. Why did I say it like that? He's benefited by being a little bit more choosy on his up and in pitches. In fact, the expected batting average he gets is 253. So even on a pitch up and in, look, you're not going to get good contact on a pitch up and in, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And so for Ward to have an expected batting average of 253, I think is the result of him being a little bit more choosy on those pitches. In fact, Ward's best zone, and you can see it on the expected batting average chart on the video side, all of the pitches that pitch inside to him, he crushes. He's a hitter that is more likely to pull the ball, because when pitches are on the inside, most guys pull that. They get around it and they pull it. But Ward's pull percentage is the lowest it's ever been in all of his good years. So think like 21, 22, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So
it's not that far off from his other good years. This year, he's at 24.3% pull percentage. That's about 1% to 3.5% lower than normal. But I think as a result of being a bit more choosy, AKA bowing out of the way of pitches that are up and in, it's actually helped him put up some pretty good numbers. The only thing I'll say is that he hasn't swung on those pitches as much. He also hasn't driven those as much because they're inside pitches. He's not pulling as much this year. So really interesting stuff to see how Taylor Ward has been affected and how he's recovered. Again, I think the bottom line here is that he's a little bit more choosy. He's a little bit more selective, and that's actually kind of benefited him at the end of the day, even though we do see him dive out of the way of some up in pitches, and rightfully so.
Sure.
Right. And certainly rightfully so.
I'm bailing if that ball's coming at my face.
Yeah. No kidding.
I'm getting out of the way. And I also think, Johnny, like, that's who Taylor Ward is. When he's choosy, he's better, right? When he's got a good eye and he knows what pitch he's looking for, he's actually better. And I'll bet, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'll bet those stats have improved in just the last couple of weeks because Taylor Ward's been on a tear. And so this version of Taylor Ward is the best version. Seems like he's really starting to adjust and not bail out, but also he's looking for his pitch. And that's when Taylor Ward is locked in. And that's when he's great for this lineup.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels are back home tonight, 6:38 Pacific time against the Astros. You can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, should the Halos sign Anthony Santander in the offseason? We'll share some stats, and then we'll give you our decision coming right up.
Today's episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Tonal. It's the world's smartest and most effective strength training system that helps you to get stronger. It's powered by AI. It learns with every rep so that it can deliver workouts that are personalized for you, for me, not John, or for John, not me. It's like having a personal trainer at home that's going to help you optimize every single workout. Unlike traditional gym equipment, Tonal uses adaptive digital weight to advance your training techniques, and you get an efficient workout personalized just for you, and they're available in the time that you're available. Love that. So professional athletes use this, and moms of 3 can use this. Tonal is trusted by thousands who have become their strongest, and Tonal has smart strength training systems that help you take the guesswork out of all of your working out so that you can make the most out of every single rep. And right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with our promo code LockedOnMLB. Just visit Tonal.com, use our promo code LockedOnMLB, and they're going to give you $200 off your purchase. Again, Tonal.com, promo code LockedOnMLB for $200 off.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And everydayers, we're inviting you to join us for the O'Hoppe All-Star Bowl. It's taking place Saturday, October 5th at Cow Bowl in Lakewood. We are so excited about this event because not only are we bowling with Logan O'Hoppe and his teammates, but we get to meet you, our everydayers. Mike and I are going to be there. And we're raising money for Corey's Promise. It's a nonprofit organization that walks through and walks alongside families whose children are dealing with pediatric cancer. They help offset the burden, the financial burden that comes along with that, and just offers their support. It's a really great cause. It's something that Logan is very passionate about, and so we're super honored to be part of this event. You can get tickets by clicking the link in the episode description, and when you do, use our promo code BROS, BROS, at checkout. Be a Halo Bro with us. You can get $50 off your ticket. And so we're hoping that you take advantage of that. We really hope that we see you there because it's something that we're excited about. Logan's excited about it. And we really hope that you're excited about it too.
Johnny, Locked On Everydayer, Nick Vlahakis and I must have had the same mind because I saw a tweet that said, Anthony Santander is a free agent at the end of the year. And I went, ooh, I want to look at his stats, right?
Yeah.
And then Nick asked this question on YouTube. He said, if the Angels during the offseason offload Ward or Adell and Pilar decides not to come back for another season, do you think they should target Anthony Santander? He fills the role of a big power guy that we were talking about with Adell. He has a 3-WAR, 541 at bats, 242 batting average, 41 home runs, 95 RBIs. He's slugging .519, and he's got an OPS of .833. He's 29, averages over 30 home runs a season, is a free agent, maybe cleaning up behind Shonowell. Nick says, I see him maybe doing that. Neto or Trout, they could be a solid addition to this lineup next season. Johnny, what do you think about Anthony Santander?
Yeah, I don't even think you need to offload Ward or Adell or anything like that. I think that you can add Santander to what's happening here because Mikey DHs a lot for the Orioles as well. And he's also kind of definitely a right fielder. Don't want him anywhere else in the outfield, according to the numbers. But yeah, if we take a little bit of a deep dive into his numbers, if we take his average stats from 2021 to 2024, that's kind of when he became the full-time Santander that we know. We get a guy, if we combine those years, with an average slash line of a 246 batting average, a 313 on base, 472 slugging, and a 785 OPS. That's all a little bit lower than where he is this season.
Yeah.
However, this season has been fantastic for him. It's one of his best. He's got a 120 OPS over those 4 years that in that span. That's 20% better than the league average hitter. He averages, like Nick said, 30 home runs, about 74 runs scored, 82 RBIs over those 4 years. His fielding percentage in right field has been 992 or better over the last couple of years. He's definitely, like I said, a right fielder only. Most of his time has been spent in right. He's been pretty bad in the small amount of games that he's played left field. Doesn't have a defensive run save this year. He's like -6 in right field. So that might be a concern as well. But we can offset that with a guy who is at the top of that list in Joe Adell and Mickey Moniak in center field, that sort of thing. So I honestly believe that this could be a good move. Does it seem like a, you know what it seems like to me? It seems like a reasonable Perry Manassian move. What do you think? He's 29.
Yeah.
Does that concern you at all? I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to get a free agent at 25, 26 unless it's
Right.
like Juan Soto, right?
Right. This sounds like a perfect move for the Angels. Here's why I like it. Anthony Santander stretches this lineup out. He's going to be a great bat for the Angels. He's going to play a decent right field. He'll be a DH maybe more often than not. That allows Joe Adell to play out there and other guys to play out there. But it really makes this lineup a deeper lineup. Santander, at least when he plays the Angels, always comes up at the right time.
Yeah.
And we've talked about the wrong guy coming up at the right time for the Halos over the last couple of months and not being able to come through. And here's why I struggle with this, John.
Okay.
Because he is somebody who has done really well in the playoff run. He's done really well with the Orioles, but he's also played in the East, and he's had the advantage of Oriole Stadium, playing in Yankee Stadium. Now he's coming to Anaheim, and it's just different dimensions. It's a different marine layer, right? I think the benefit for him would be that the home run ball can bang off the wall and not go over the wall in right field. But that would be my hesitation, is getting somebody like this. Would he be able to replicate the numbers that he's been putting up over the last couple of years? I also would say like a 3-year deal, I'd be comfortable with.
Totally. Yeah.
Right.
3 to 4 years.
5, 6. I think you're kind of pushing it. If he made $11 million this year, if he's around 15 and it's 3 years, maybe 4, I think I'm comfortable with that, because then you're getting him for age 29, 30, 31, 32, or 30, 31, 32, 33, right? And so I like this. This feels like a Perry Manassian reasonable move, and it gives a bat to the Angel lineup. But here's what's going to be key about if they sign this guy. Trout's got to be in the lineup, because then it extends this lineup, and then you've got power Trout and you've got power Anthony Santander, plus you've got Sean Noel and Neto and those guys. This would be a great signing if Trout's going to be healthy, which is always a big question.
The way Nick actually put it was Seanwell 1, Neto 2, Trout 3, and then you have cleanup of Santander. And I think that's a great top 3. I would actually put Taylor Ward at number 1 and not have Seanwell at the top of the order. I would actually put him down in the middle. Seanwell's an interesting one to talk about. I think we need to get into that a little bit later, maybe toward the end of the season or the off season, just because we do need to talk about what he did this year and kind of where he fits into the scheme of things. But I think the Santander move would actually make a lot of sense. Durant 636 on YouTube said, do you feel like Niko Kavadas is someone we should consider counting on moving forward, or is he a quad A guy that might get hot sometimes, or is he a Schwarber, or is he a Mike Ford? I thought that was a really great way to put it.
That's all across the board there. Schwarber, Mike Ford.
So again, Mike, I did a little bit of a deep dive.
Yeah, come on.
And I'm really excited. So the tough thing about Niko Kavadas right now is that there's not a lot of data or enough at bats for him in the majors to make a fair comparison to somebody like Schwarber. However, in the short time that we've seen him, there is something to note that's pretty significant. I've got it on the screen here for our video viewers, and I'll describe it to you for our audio listeners. The thing that's significant is that it has everything to do with Niko Kavadas' chase rate based on StatCast, or the outside the zone swing percentage according to Fangraphs. Baseball Savant has his chase rate so far this season at 17.4%, which would actually be the top of the league if he qualified. He does not have nearly enough at bats to be a qualified player. So that's still, in flux. But if the red wasn't like faded red, if it was like dark red, that would be a really good thing for him on StatCast. Fangraphs has his outside the zone swing percentage at 18.2%. But as his chase rate or his outside the zone swing percentage has come down around like game 12, Mike, Niko's last 5 games show his OPS and batting average climbing really, really high. It shows his K percentage coming down, down, down. And so if you take a look here on the chart, and again, if you're on the audio side, you can see that the OPS towards his recent games like shoots up. It
Mhm.
rockets up. But you notice that the outside the zone swing starts to trend downward. In fact, it's more in line with kind of his average so far of 18.2%, which is fantastic. And you can also see the average climbing as well. And it makes sense, right? You're not chasing out of the zone. You're making better swing decisions. And so naturally your OPS and your average are going to climb. Now his time in Boston with the AAA teams, that's where you can actually measure chase rate and outside the zone percentage. He played 200 games across 2023 and 2024 with the Boston AAA team. And during that time, last year, his outside the zone swing percentage was 22.5. And then this year, before he got traded to the Angels, got called up, it was 20.2. So that might be more of who he is right now. He's at that 18.2, which is a really good number, but he might be more of a 20% guy. And that would be interesting to see how that affects him. So the more data we have, the better read we'll have on Niko Kavadas. I just think it's a really good idea to have him in the majors now so that you can work on this stuff. In fact, I think him coming over to the Angels club and going to the majors, maybe they are working with him on his chase rate or his outside the zone swing percentage, because he's only been in 18 games, but according to the chart, according to the numbers, he's come a long way in those 18 games at the majors. And so I think we're going to need a little bit more data to make a good decision here. But at the same time, Niko's success is if he doesn't chase out of the zone, he could be something really special for the Angels.
Locked On Angels is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million members. And it's so easy to use. It's just you against the numbers. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can watch the winnings roll in. And right now, you can win 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. And then they have this gimmick for you, and you'll win guaranteed, because they're saying one Caleb Williams passing yard is going to get you 1 win on Prize Picks every single week in September. So 3 weeks left to do this. All you need to do is select Caleb Williams and select more. He's going to pass more than 1 yard, because that's a guarantee, and you're going to get 3 more weeks of W's from Prize Picks. Don't miss out. Once September is over, then you don't get this anymore. And so you need to take advantage of this. Download the Prize Picks app right now. Use our promo code Locked On MLB. You're going to get $50 instantly when you play $5. Again, promo code Locked On MLB, $50 instantly when you play $5. And you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game.
And today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. They got a little something for you. You guys ready for this? Now, through September 22nd, you've got some time. You've got 9 days to make a decision here. And I think you're going to want to make this decision. All FanDuel customers can bet just $5. And in doing so, you can get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just bet $5, 3 weeks of NFL Sunday Ticket. Come on, that's a steal. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you can watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. You can cancel anytime. And if that's not enough, if that wasn't enough to incentivize you, free Sunday Ticket, make sure you check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app. You can use it to double your winnings for all of Sunday's pregame moneyline bets. Profit Boost is live now, so be sure to check it out in the app. View your account page to learn more about your boost. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook.
All right, how about some rants? Here's the first rant, John, from, is it Adam Kerr on YouTube? Is that
I think it's Adam Kerr.
Okay.
It's like Adam Kerr with no vowels, but
yeah,
but with the A and the I.
But with one vowel.
Yeah, two vowels. Two vowels.
Two vowels, yes.
Yeah.
So, man, okay, let me just read it. He said, John, I really enjoyed your rant on Canning.
Let's
He's
go.
not alone. A lot of people like that. You're not even an innings eater. You're just constantly putting your team in a hole starting a game. He's talking to Canning, not John.
Right.
And then he said, Mike, not only did Ron Washington say that Joyce was fine, but added that he expected Rendon back in the lineup the next day. And we all know what happened there.
He most certainly did.
We haven't had good PR since Tim Meade left and Carpino took over.
That's really interesting to me. I didn't think about that because we all know Tim Meade went to, be president of the Hall of Fame and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's something I haven't thought about, Mike, is like, oh, there's a very clear difference between when Tim Meade was here and is no longer here. Yeah. Really interesting.
And then he says, okay, my turn. Game recap. While I agree that Silent C,
Kohanowicz,
needs another pitch, I think yesterday's results would have been different if Drury was not in the game to begin with. He had already failed to come up when he hit a ground ball that would have been a double play. And then you see Neto's surprise when Drury missed it. I believe you will hear Washington say that he's okay, only to have him placed on the IL. I'm done with my rant. What do you think, John?
That's hilarious. Yeah. Drury has the hurt hamstring right now. So would it be to anybody's shock that, oh yeah, Drury will be in there tonight, and then suddenly he's on the IL.
Yeah.
And so which is fine with me because that gives opportunity to other people.
Agreed.
Guys who should be playing second base. But yeah, that really sticks out to me. The fact that Tim Meade, things have been so much different for this team since he left.
Yep.
And good on him, bigger and better things, but certainly somebody that's missed around Angel fandom. And on Kohanowicz needing another pitch, I don't necessarily think he needs another pitch. He's got a good 4-pitch mix. He just spams the sinker. Like I said the other day with the fastball and Reed Detmers, he spams the sinker. He just needs to be less predictable. I think that comes from being a smart pitcher. It comes from being a more mature pitcher, understanding how you're going to get guys out, understanding what they're thinking and what they think you're thinking, right? And that's the game. That's the mental side of pitching that I think is often missing from the Angels. Mike, John in Beaumont, your neighbor.
Hey,
it's next city over. He's left us so many great voicemails, so I owe him a chance to get on the show today. My favorite part is that he only talks to me. He doesn't talk to you, so here we go.
Hey, John, a good show today. I like the way you called it on Canning, to say the least. Okay, 5 years, and he still hasn't done anything. Anyway, the other thing that I got to bring up is they bring up these minor league players, and it's almost like they're a duck out of water. I mean, it's still baseball, and a lot of these pitchers that they faced them in minor leagues, for heaven's sakes. All right, talk to you later.
John in Beaumont, thank you for your voicemail. Thank you for sending it directly to me and not to Mike. Mike is sitting with his hands crossed.
I guess I'm not on the show.
You know what
neighbor, John, and I'm not even on the show.
You know what I think it is it's my voice on the voicemail line. I think that's why. So
is it?
We'll go with that. Well, if you want to record it and leave the voice message thing, then that's on you. You got the radio voice. Right?
Oh gosh.
Oh, we got to get into that someday.
No.
Listen, I loved what he had to say about minor league guys coming up and just like, did you forget that it's baseball?
Yeah.
And the only thing I could really think of, Mike, is it's more than just the game. I think it's adjusting to the majors because we've heard Reed Detmers speak on the Angels rushing up their prospects. We've heard him speak on the Angels bringing these guys up, before they've had a full season in the minors, and how different it is to travel with the big league club, to, get familiarized with the locker room and the stadium and where everything is. I think there's more to it than the game on the field. The game on the field is important, and you shouldn't forget that it's a baseball game at the end of the day. It's a kid's game. You've been doing it since you were, 6 years old. I just think that if we zoom out a little bit and consider something like what Reed Detmers had to say earlier this season, it's a lot. I think it's a lot for a young guy to be rushed up to the majors and make that change. I mean, how many of these guys have ever taken a flight in their lives, and then
Sure.
learning how to do that and whatnot. So that's kind of my thought on it. What do you think?
Well, I loved what one of our everydayers said the other day, that Reed Detmers came back up and was thankful to be back up because he didn't have to be in the minor leagues and riding the bus anymore. He gets all of the privileges in the major leagues. Maybe that's the key, John. You just bring up some of these minor league guys, give them a taste of the majors, send them back down. They're like, I don't want to ride the bus anymore. I'm going to come back up. I'm going to figure this out. I think that you've hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of factors. Of course, the factor on the field is the biggest factor, but knowing when to show up, where do you go? How do you get treatment? Who do you talk to? Do you have all your luggage? All of those things. Where's the hotel? I'm sure all of that comes into play. And then going, oh, by the way, I have to pitch in front of 30 to 40,000 people, and they're going to be yelling at me and screaming at me, or they're going to be cheering me, and I have to get Aaron Judge out. Okay, here we go, right? So I think a lot of that just comes with maturity, which is why ideally you want the guys to have some time in the minor leagues so that when they come up, they've already learned how to zero their focus in on what they're trying to do on the field and basically putting the distractions aside. That's why you hear sports players say often, like, hey, we're just trying to block all distractions. What they're literally saying is ticket requests and what's the baby mama doing, and all of that stuff, right? And so they have to just zero in and be able to do that, which is why ideally it'd be great if they stayed in the minor leagues for a little bit longer.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. For your second listen, hop on over to the Locked On MLB podcast with our friend Sully. He's going to get you ready for playoffs. He's got you covered every single day on Locked On MLB. It's available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.
And you can follow us on social media. Start with Twitter or X at Super Halo Bros and Locked On Angels. And then you can find us on Instagram at Super Halo Bros. Johnny.
Yes, sir.
What are we talking about on Monday?
Hey, you know what? The Astros are in town, and I'm sure that, there's one or two Astros still left to boo who were part of the cheater team. So we'll see how Angel fans respond. But we'll see how this weekend goes considering the pitching matchups. One thing we'll be looking for is, can Caden Dana bounce back from his struggle start on Sunday? So we're going to recap the weekend series for you, dive into all the details. We hope you'll join us Monday on Locked On Angels.
All right. So that's it, Johnny. For Johnny, my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
There you go. And my name is John, and that's my brother Mike. I totally flipped it on you. I love it. On me. Yeah, upside down, baby. All right. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
All right, friends. Until Monday's show, we'll see you back here, and we hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.
What a great way to end the show. That's an exclamation point.
That's right. There's a show. That's a show.